Hey, this is MBRR Pod, or Minnesota Black Girl Bread Podcast. Thanks for stopping by. If you are just now checking me out for the first time, I cannot thank you enough. I appreciate every new viewer. I appreciate every single person who watches because they're angry, and I also appreciate all the people who are here on a very regular basis. My mods and my channel members and my regular subscribers that come in and interact. If you're watching the live chat, you got people like Jugalassis who tunes in, and we get people like Veterans Affair Media, we get people like The Angry Vet, we get Veteran Nation, my friend Mike and co-host of my other show, Veteran Nation. And just, we get a lot of regulars that come in, and so if this is your first time here, say hi to the chat, and if I miss it, the moderators will speak to you. And hey, Jugalassis, you're back. Awesome, thank you very much. But yeah, if you've been here before and you are used to watching the chat, make sure you say hi. Let us know that you're here. Let us know who you are. Let us know what drew you to the channel. Yes, I do rambling right at the start because I want to give a chance for notifications to go out to people, so that while I'm doing that, I'm reminding people to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, like the video if you haven't done so yet, share it out to all of your social media peeps if you haven't done that yet. And if you look, for those of you that are here on a regular basis, like Jugs, and Jugs is here on a regular basis, if you look around, you will see that there is a little thing that says, I think it says join, or it might say memberships. But if you like the content and you want to see me be able to keep doing this, you can join with different levels of membership, and that helps keep the internet on and the electricity going. It helps pay my bills, and that, that's important to me. I'm pretty sure it's important to you, and I agree with Jugs right now that 75% of you need to hit the smash that like button, and like right now, or more of you, or now 25% of you, or something like that. Yeah, all of you, 100% of you need to smash the like button. I'm going to address a couple of things as we get going. A few days ago, I put out a request for information on a couple of groups in the Rochester, Minnesota area where I live. I don't live in Rochester. Excuse me, guys. But I work and survive in the bubble that is the Rochester, Minnesota area, the Mayo Clinic area, if you will, IBM area, the home of IBM, the home of the world famous or world infamous Mayo Clinic. And so yeah, I put out some requests for information on YouTube's, on the Facebooks, saying, hey, in relationship to the accident that claimed the life of young Olivia Flores of Austin, Minnesota on May 18th, I would really, appreciate if you or anyone you know witnessed the accident. Please, by all means, message me here on Facebook, or send me an email at mbrrpod at yahoo.com. podcast at yahoo.com. And at first I didn't think anybody was going to respond. I had made another request several weeks ago for the same thing and got little to no feedback, actually, like one or two people, and it was completely unrelated to the request for information. Hey, Tri-State Audit News, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. So I put out that request, and all of a sudden I started to get some information trickling in from people who either knew someone who witnessed the accident or witnessed the accident themselves. And something else happened, and this is why I'm starting off the beginning of this Drive Time Dialectic with this with this part right here. Hey Taff, thanks for stopping in. It just started basically anyway. As I was waiting for responses, I started to get some people piling on. If you are on Facebook, you can look me up, Todd Pearson on Facebook. And I had some people piling on, and so I screen grabbed those attacks, personal attacks on me about my former career in the law enforcement world. And one guy basically came out and said that I was fired. Now, they did move to terminate me. I'm not gonna lie. That's the truth. My former employer, the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office, did move to terminate me. However, he said I was fired, and it was because I was a psycho nut job, and it had every, Now, I might be a psycho and a nut job, but who isn't a psycho or a nut job after they've been in law enforcement, or before they go into law enforcement? Like, really? I mean, now I happen to work in a very psychotic part of the career field. I worked on the detention end. I was a sworn deputy in the detention center, so I've seen psycho. I know psycho when I see it. Yeah, I said what I said. But as I'm reading this, he's going on and he's maligning my character, and then he gets some other people maligning my character and jumping on me and accusing me of all sorts of things, accuse me of lying, accuse me of not being honest about why I left the sheriff's office. And for those of you that haven't done so, I did, especially if you're a first-time viewer, I went and I put on the front page for first-time visitors to the channel, non-subscribers. Thanks for stopping in, Taff. For first-time visitors to my channel, I put the video up for everyone to listen to a documentation of how I ended up leaving the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office and employment there, and the truth behind the story. Fine. Then today, somebody else attacked me and said that I am victimizing the family of young Olivia Torres, and I'm doing it because I'm a sicko and I'm selfish. Now, anybody who knows what I do, anybody who knows what we do when we have YouTube channels, it's not selfishness that drives us, because I don't gain anything. Now, I get people who do super chats, I get people who join, who do memberships, I get, people who give guest memberships. They gift out memberships to people who are watching. So that does happen, and yes, that does put some money in your earnings. But on average, I don't make any real money for doing a video, right? So to say that it's selfish, and to even say that I'm doing it for self-promotion, the stuff I talk about is not popular. Like, if you, and I've said this before, and a lot of you have heard me say it, what I talk about is not sexy. I'm not highlighting, in your face, on the street, content that I'm putting out where I'm doing audits the way other people do audits. I've done some of that, but not in the same way. So people are really going to bat, are actually bending over backwards to malign anyone who's talking about the death of Olivia Flores on May 18th, as it involves Minnesota State Patrol Trooper Shane Roper. And they are maligning anyone who's talking about a need for transparency in this case. And God forbid, literally, hey, AVA, thanks for stopping in. MBRR, good to see you, good to meet you. Have you stopped anyone that violates rights in your career? Have you stopped? I actually did step in a few times and pushed deputies out of a scene when they were losing control. And and filed verbal grievances as the first step with command staff. And there were times where I regret I didn't do or say more, to be honest with you. It's a regret that I will have. And I have a video of Drive Time Dialectic, actually, where I talk about that. So, yeah. And thanks for stopping in, Westside Accountability. I hope you will subscribe to the channel and share this out. So, like I said, what I do is not sexy. I do a lot of socio-political, socio-cultural, philosophical commentary about the world we live in, and I try to bring that especially to bear on accountability, and I try to bring that, my insight into the career field, into the critiques that I offer of law enforcement and the government, I call it the state, as a whole. And so I took keen interest in the death of Olivia Flores here in Rochester, Minnesota on May 18th because of the fact that a state trooper was involved. Now, about 3 weeks ago, the Rochester Minnesota Police Department closed their investigation into her death. Thanks, Jordan. I'm not weaving all around. I am watching the road. I spend very little time actually looking at the screen. Every once in a while, when the road's clear, I'll read a message. So, yeah. Anyway, I took keen interest in this story from May 18th because of the fact that a state patrol officer was involved and there was a fatality, and that was young Olivia Flores, 18 years old, just weeks away from her high school graduation. And now in Minnesota, the Minnesota State Patrol actually is responsible for investigating all traffic fatalities. But in this case, obviously, they can't investigate I guess I shouldn't say they can investigate themselves. They realized that investigating themselves in this case would not look good. So they did officially ask that the Rochester Police would do the investigation. So about 3 weeks ago, Rochester Police Department, after a month, almost on the nuts, a month of investigation into this traffic fatality, closed their investigation, announced that they were closing their investigation and turning it over to the Olmsted County Attorney, Mark Ostrom, for review. That's been almost 3 weeks. And I checked just before I went live to see if there were any breaking news about charges or no charges as it relates to the death of Olivia Flores. Which is why I put out my message back on a couple of days ago requesting information from people in the Rochester area. And so on top of being attacked and being called a psycho and being selfish and being sick and victimizing the family, which, by the way, I have a very, very dear friend who I am philosophically, who happens to know the family of Olivia Flores, and this friend is thanking me for keeping the pressure on and keeping the light on this investigation. And that's why, one, I encourage everybody to do this. Is when you hear stories like this, even if you can't get actual video, do commentary, or write about it on your social media. Help ask questions, bring pressure to bear on these situations, right? But so this friend of mine is passing on news to this family that I am continuing to talk about the story and to keep the pressure on publicly, and I think that's why people are hating on me. But anyway, I put out the request for information and people started to reach out to me. Like, a lot of people started to reach out to me. And I've heard a lot of accounts of the day of the accident. I have heard many things. But I've also heard a lot of people justifying the accident, saying accidents happen, nothing can be done about it. And I'm hearing a lot about how the trooper, like things like, well, the trooper might have been responding to a domestic disturbance call, which is why, because all the evidence is saying he was speeding in a 40-mile-an-hour section, going through an intersection when he hit the vehicle. There were 2 other vehicles involved, 3 total. That all the people were involved were injured. The trooper had a ride-along with him. And there is some question as to whether or not he should have been in a pursuit, if that's what everybody is. Because people are claiming a couple of things. One, that he was getting ready to go into a pursuit. And 2, that he was responding to a domestic abuse call. So 1, the pursuit thing, no lights, no sirens. All of the eyewitnesses that I have talked to, or messaged with, or heard from, but all of the feedback I'm getting is that there were no lights, emergency lights to the front or back. I could be wrong. The information could be wrong. And by the way, the investigation is closed, so the things that I'm about to share with you and talk to you about are, they're just me editorializing on the information I'm getting from people about what happened as we wait for a decision from the county attorney. And wait for a decision from the county attorney. So there's no investigation for me to interfere with here. Any of that. This is just me as a independent media platform, as an independent editorialist, commenting on what I see as a major problem with this case. So all the information that I have from people who say they've witnessed the accident is that he was not running lights or sirens, so he wasn't running what is referred to as code. And no one could see that he was running code at all. So that's out the window, especially if he was supposedly pulling somebody over. He should have definitely had lights and sirens, or at least lights on. Those would have been visibly noticeable. Sirens would have made him, audibly noticeable. Not that anybody can hear anything in their cars anymore the way we listen to our music, myself included. But the other statement, like that I brought up already, is responding to a domestic abuse call. These are the lengths that people will go to. And I don't know that the trooper's guilty. He very well could be completely exonerated. Now, keep in mind that the accident happened on May 18th. We didn't find out until June 5th that he was placed on unpaid administrative leave. We found that out on June 5th. May 18th to June 5th, we finally found out that he was placed on paid administrative leave. We also know that normal police practice says if you have video that is going to exonerate your officers, your deputies, your troopers, whatever, you release that, right? We know that. We know that time and time and time and time again. You will run into this where anything that will exonerate an officer who is accused of any kind of excessive force or malfeasance at all, they will release that video in days, sometimes hours. I've seen it take place in hours that they will release video to show that the trooper or the officer or the cop didn't do anything wrong, and here's the video proof. You look at the case of Roger Fortson down in Okaloosa County, Florida, when people were reporting that the deputy was at the wrong door and barged in. And we do know that deputy did shoot Airman Fortson unlawfully with an excessive use of force and killed him, and he's now been terminated and charged. But they released video on that immediately to prove that the lies being told were not true, right? So when they think they've got something that will exonerate them or help their officers, they will release it almost immediately. But they haven't released anything. They haven't released security video yet. They haven't released dash cam videos. They haven't released any body cam videos at all. None of that's been released since May 18th. So then they investigate for a month, still nothing to release, right? And all these people are jumping through hoops to explain away how the trooper could be responsible, to justify the trooper's actions. I've got people blaming the other drivers for running yellow. Literally people coming out of the woodwork to explain how the trooper is not to be blamed at all. Now, there again, if they release unredacted, unedited video showing that the trooper was doing everything according to Hoyle, it's an old-fashioned term, following all the rules, and they could show that the drivers of the other vehicles were at fault, I will say so. I promise, you have my word that if they could prove that the trooper was not responsible for that accident, I will say so publicly on my channel, and I will leave all of the videos up where I've asked all these questions. I will stand on that as an ethical point. I will not make an excuse to continue to blame the trooper. But as of right now, I can see nothing that would be indicative that he's innocent or not bearing a major amount of guilt for the death of Olivia Flores. Because if they had it, they would have released it. Now here comes the speculation, if you will. So let's say in talking to people, I have talked to people, and in talking to them, chatting with them, messaging with them, I'm being told that the trooper was showing off, driving recklessly. That's what they saw. I had one person reach out to me and say, look, we saw the trooper involving his ride-along in running radar. I don't know what the rules are on that. I don't know how the State Patrol handles that. But he did have a ride-along. He had a passenger that day that was not law enforcement. And think back to all your episodes of watching cops. And I mean, I think we all were stupid at one time and spent a lot of time watching cops or live PD or whatever. What do? They show off for the camera. They show off for their non-law enforcement. Saying, was he showing off for his ride-along? Was his ride-along a potential law enforcement officer? And he was trying to show him, look, hey, here's some of the things that we do. Here's kind of how we do the job. Don't know. I heard that he was traveling at an incredibly high rate of speed, and I will tell you, anybody knows, you can't always tell how fast a car is going, but you can tell a car is going faster for the traffic and for the neighborhood than it should be, especially if it's not running code or responding to an emergency. You could tell that. You could tell when a car in a 40-mile-an-hour zone is doing a lot better than 40 miles an hour because you can kind of gauge it with the flow of traffic, right? But what would happen if that were the case and he was driving recklessly? What if there was speculation out there that a source has released from the inside somewhere? What if there was speculation that he had alcohol in his system? I mean, would that be important to people? Would that play? What are your thoughts? If you found out that there was the potential of a trooper involved in a fatal accident had alcohol in his system, I don't know that he did or didn't. I haven't talked to anybody who could or could not confirm that. But what if that was leaked, and there was alcohol in the trooper system? I mean, what if what if he did? Does that necessarily mean that he was drunk? Well, no. Doesn't mean he was drunk. Doesn't mean that he was technically driving illegally. But what if there is a fatality and there was alcohol in his system? I don't, what's that mean? Should he have alcohol in his system when he's on duty? Hey, if you had a job and you were driving as part of your job and you had alcohol in your system, how would and you got into an accident, even though you weren't drunk, let's say it was just a beer at lunch, but it was your responsibility to be driving for your job, and you wrecked a company vehicle because you had alcohol in your, and then you had alcohol in your system, how long would you have a job? What would your employer do? You may not get charged with a crime, but would you have your job if you wrecked your company vehicle and there was alcohol in your system? Like, somebody gave me some information that says that this is the 4th squad that this trooper has totaled. And you could see the picture, the thumbnail. Not only was a beautiful young woman at the age of 18, just weeks away from starting her, real life or adult life, not only was a beautiful young woman, tragically taken from us, but you saw that squad car if you saw the thumbnail. Like, that thumbnail, that car, does that look like somebody who just accidentally ran a red light at normal traffic speeds to you? I mean, that's the car. And now, allegedly, this is his someone who's putting in a request. And if you guys would be interested in doing that, his name is Trooper Shane Roper for the Minnesota State Patrol. If you'd be interested in finding that information out, I would love for as many people as possible to be putting in a request to find out how many times he's wrecked a squad, a cruiser. I mean, don't you think that's important information? I think that's important information. I don't know if that's, true or not, but apparently there's some concern that he has wrecked numerous vehicles. Now, as a person who helps fund the company that he works for, I would like to know, even if he's not at fault for this accident, does he have a habit of wrecking cars? Should he have a job anymore? See, these are the things. I'm pretty sure that they do have dash cams, like in almost all their cars, Jugs. So, but that's the problem. We can't get any of it because Minnesota. So, and here's another thing that people have got to stop talking about FOIA. FOIA is federal, right? FOIA is a federal thing. FOIA is only for federal agencies. Every individual state is not subject to FOIA. FOIA is only for federal. So you need to figure out what your state laws are. And in the state of Minnesota, we have data, and it's much like FOIA, but free to give out information or not give out information based on parameters. And so in Minnesota, even though the investigation is or not charging, it's still considered a pending case with pending criminal charges, potentially pending criminal charges, or potential litigation. So they don't have to give out any of that video. In fact, the family would have to fight pretty hard to get that video in a lot of cases. But they're darn sure not going to give it out to every single person that requests it. However, if Trooper Shane Roper of the Minnesota State Patrol has had other accidents where he has damaged or totaled state vehicles, I think we should be able to find that out, don't you? But you know what we're not seeing? We're not seeing the media report on any of this stuff. We're not seeing the media the mainstream media do any digging. They're not reporting on the history of Shane Roper. They're not looking into this and saying, what's his record like? What's his performance like? What are his performance evals? What kind of trooper was he? How long was he on the job? Or has he been on the job? Has he been written up for anything? Now, you may not be entitled to see a write-up, and I think that's fair. Honestly, I don't think that with public employees, I think you start to get into kind of a weird area on this. But you can be written up for stupid stuff working for a law enforcement agency, and people can file frivolous complaints against you constantly. In the interest of transparency, I was named in a civil lawsuit by a man, and you can look this up. I'm not ashamed of it. I was named in a civil lawsuit by a man who came out as homosexual, and I was named because he says I outed him, which is not what happened. He said I outed him, and then he named another deputy, and he named a sergeant, and he named the sheriff and the captain, all for different offenses. And the most left-leaning judge in our district court even looked at the lawsuit and said this is frivolous and it is absolutely retaliatory, and dismissed it. Now, I'm not, fine, whatever, but frivolous complaints are lodged against officers all the time. The problem is it's hard to differentiate between what's frivolous and what's legitimate when you're not allowed to look at them at all. And so I had numerous situations where I was dealing with difficult to deal with detainees and had to place them on disciplinary lockdowns, and I would get wrote up for placing people on disciplinary lockdowns. They would file a complaint against me saying that I was targeting them. And frivolous complaints do happen. The majority of complaints that you see against officers, however, are not frivolous. So asking hard questions about Trooper Shane Roper and saying how many vehicles has he wrecked, has he had other complaints about his driving, the way he behaves on the roads when he's not responding to an emergency, I think those are legitimate things that we need to know. But the question is will they release it? Are they required to release it? And why, for the love of God, would Popo's getting ready to go by. Shh, everybody be quiet. Don't let them know that we're watching. You guys didn't get to see him. I saw the Popo. He was driving distracted too, by the way. Looking right at his computer while he was driving by me. I think in the dash cam probably got that picked up, so I'll have to see if I got that on dash cam. But what happened? Lost my chat. Where'd my chat go? Chat disappeared. Oh well, if you guys are in the chat, somebody say something, because I don't know if anybody's in the chat now. I think we have a right to know, as citizens, as taxpayers, if Trooper Shane Roper has had complaints for his driving, if he has totaled other vehicles. And why on earth are they taking so long to make a decision? Why would you investigate for a month? And I'm going to get ready to wrap it up as I get pretty close to pulling into my driveway. let's say that this wasn't a trooper. Let's say that it was just one of us. You know, I see Bailey's watching. Let's say Bailey's driving down the road, and she's got a friend with her, and she's speeding. She's not really paying attention, and she's, you know, gabbing and whatnot, and she T-bones another car and hits a third car as part of this process, and a few days later, one of the people in the car that she hit dies. How long would the investigation take if it was just us, folks? How long would it take? How fast would they have, if they could show that it was criminal negligence on Bailey's part, or my part, or whoever it might be? How fast would we get arrested? How fast would we be sitting in jail pending charges? How much information would they have released almost immediately? Because here's my challenge for those of you that are on Facebook. I want you to go to Rochester Minnesota Police Department's Facebook page, and I want you to just start doom scrolling. And I want you to start looking at the number of reports that they give about criminal behavior that they made arrests on, and the amount of detail that is given. It's page after 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 page of details on criminal investigations that they have started and conducted, and charges and names and addresses and criminal histories of all of these people. Just dozens and dozens and dozens since May 18th. But not a word about what they found with Trooper Shane Roper. Isn't that a little weird, don't you think? That for Trooper Shane Roper, there's no information. There's nothing for us to know. They won't tell us anything. And I wonder why. I wonder what the reason for that is. Why would they report on everybody else that they've arrested, but they, or charged or hauled in? Why would they not tell us anything about Trooper Shane Roper, when we know, like I said, that if they had exonerating evidence, they would have released it already. Just like they would have snagged us up and told everybody about what we had done. To me, it reeks of a cover-up. So I don't care if speculation that he was drinking is true or not. That's what I'm hearing. I don't believe it. You know, like, come on, seriously, a trooper drinking when he's got to ride along, that's just asinine, right? That's not going to happen. I'm just not going to go that far, right? Speeding, go watch all of my videos where I show troopers on a stretch of highway that runs right by where the accident was, constantly speeding and driving distracted. Video after video after video after video of this. You want to tell me that they don't? Because I see it all the time. I see them speeding constantly. I see them driving distracted constantly. I see them swerving out of their lanes constantly. Drinking? Come on. Really? But we have got to get people to stop making excuses for them, because they don't get treated the same way the rest of us do. If that were us driving a vehicle like that got totaled the way that vehicle got totaled and someone died, our asses would have been in jail already. We wouldn't be sitting at home on paid administrative leave with our employers going, hey, don't worry about it. You just go we've got to give you time off, but we're going to pay you to sit at home while we wait for the pending investigation to be completed. See, this shit's got to stop, folks. And God forbid that the rumors I'm hearing are true. God forbid they're true. God forbid that we find out that he has totaled several other vehicles. God forbid he was just screwing around because he had a ride along. and I'm just not even gonna. I'm not even going to go there and say that I could believe he was drinking. That can't freaking be. That's just somebody who's pissed off or somebody who hates cops. That's what that is. That's just someone who really hates cops, because that's the I like. But would we be getting told to reserve judgment if it were about one of us? No, we'd have people crying for blood for killing that 18-year-old girl. Throw him in jail, lock him away forever, throw away the key. Look at what they did to that innocent girl. But now we're being told we've got to wait. The investigation's done. Now the county attorney's got to do something. He's got to make his decision whether or not they're going to charge. And if he is charged, he has a right to go in front of a jury. He's got a right to his day in court, which I agree he does, but we don't get that speculation. We don't get that benefit of the doubt from all the bootlickers out there. Watch. Like I said, I challenge you to go to the Rochester, Minnesota Police Department Facebook page and look at the freaking comments directed at people who have been charged with crimes by the same people who you will find defending Trooper Shane Roper, saying we're not giving him a chance. People saying, I'm going to screw up his chance at a fair trial. What? Are you kidding me? I'm going to screw up his chance at a fair trial? To me, it looks like they're hiding, is what it looks like. It doesn't have to be anything severe. It doesn't have to be somebody was drinking on the job. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that he set out to cause an accident that day. But none of us would be getting this kind of break. Not one of us would be getting this kind of break. The media would have been all over us all day long, every day. But nope, the media in Rochester, silent. Silent. And if they are asking hard questions, they're not reporting on it. And like I said, drinking, come on, people. Do we really want to spread that rumor? Like, is that the rumor that we want out there? Is that how we want to win the case? God forbid it's true. Oh, holy shit, God forbid that's true. Like, I want to believe it's somebody who's just angry. That's what I want to believe. I just want to believe it's somebody who's just really angry and wants to see justice done, and they don't know how else to do it other than to say that. But how many vehicles has he totaled? I know I've said that before, but I just want to keep... And how does Rochester, Minnesota Police Department report on the crimes that they catch other people doing that aren't law enforcement? And keep in mind, Rochester, Minnesota Police Department is the same police department that did nothing about Deputy Matt Adamson in May of 2022 when my friend Chase Johnston reported him for trying to meet an underage girl for sex in exchange for alcohol in May of 2022. They did nothing about it. They did nothing. They told the sheriff, his boss, he did nothing about it. So he went on a year and a half before he finally got caught by accident. So don't tell me that they won't protect their own. Tell me that this doesn't feel like protectionism. Tell me that. If you can look me in the eye and say, no, you're just overreacting, this isn't protectionism, then more power to you. But what we know, they protect their own unless their own aren't towing the line. So if you haven't yet, subscribe. If you have subscribed and you like what I'm doing, pick a level of membership. Throw me a super chat or a super thank you. Share this out. And just go check out the Facebook page and look at the details. And then come back and comment on the video after it finishes processing. Because I think you're going to be surprised at just how much detail they'll give about cases and give nothing as far as details about Trooper Shane Roper and the poor family left in the wake that had to hire a private attorney to get anywhere with them, to find anything out at all about their investigation. And I'm going to close with this. I put a link in the description of this video to Olivia Flores' family's GoFundMe. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's 50 cents. I don't care if it's $5. Please, if you have anything to spare in the right now with the nature of our economy the way it is, if you have to choose between supporting me or supporting Olivia Flores' family, fuck my support. Go give it to Olivia Flores. Excuse the language. Go give it to her family. And then help me keep light on this story. So until next time, my friends, hate watchers, FBI, BCA, profilers. It's not happening. It's a joke. But I do have hate watchers. But all my friends, subscribers, and members, until next time, fight for your freedom. Liberty, it is yours. Fight for your freedom. It belongs to you. And sic semper tyrannis.